Good morning, everyone. Today, the topic of our presentation would be effects of body image on self esteem. Hi, guys. My name is Rhythm, and I'll be presenting this topic in class right now. Overview. This presentation aims to understand the impact of the individual's thoughts of body image on their mental health and the factors underlying the particular behavior, which has been investigated both experimentally and non experimentally. Furthermore, in order to test it both ways, the experimental and non experimental methods have been further defined and researched on. So let's head on to our main topic for this presentation. And first of all, what is body image? So, due to society's changing norms, individuals are often characterized due to such traits that are accepted by the society. Thus, in theoretical terms, body image is a consequence of it. But in simple terms, we can say that it is a cognitive map of an individual's perception about themselves. Thus, the negative view of oneself could also lead to low self esteem that could initiate and influence various mental health disorders such as depression, anxiety, and sleeping disorders, such as bulimia and anorexia. Sometimes it can also even lead to death and suicide. Though, on the other hand, it has positive effects also, as a positive effect body image could lead to self love and self acceptance of oneself. Effects of body image in social psychology. So, image and self esteem are closely related to each other in social psychology, as multiple research have suggested that the perception and the image of oneself physically can play an important part in our judgment towards our overall sense of self. Thus, this could result in self love and more positive traits in ourselves cognitively, as it boosts our self esteem, while individuals with negative body perspective also tend to suffer from self doubt and low self esteem. Thus, in social psychology's terms, comparison theory suggests that we evaluate ourselves based on how others feel about us and compare ourselves to others, which impacts our body image. Thus, it could be concluded that body image is directly proportionate to self esteem. As if we have a positive body image, our self esteem would be high, and if we have a negative self esteem, our if we have a negative body image, our self esteem would be low. Thus, in order to study and investigate this topic, first we need to know about experimental versus non experimental research. Well, experimental research method is a scientific method which is conducted in controlled settings for testing the effect of variables on a particular outcome. Whereas in the non-experimental research method, it is descriptive as the independent variable is absent. Thus, in non-experimental method, the research study person cannot manipulate the variables easily. On the other hand, in experimental method, the participants are randomly assigned to experiment and controlled settings in order to increase the test's validity. And thus, it can also be conducted in natural settings as well as in laboratories. Whereas in non-experimental method, observation and surveys are conducted to collect information about a certain phenomena. And thus, in non-experimental method, it could be done in variety of settings, such as it can also be done in laboratories or in natural environment. Advantages and disadvantages of experimental method. Well, there are several advantages of experimental methods of research, as the variables which are extraneous and confounding can be controlled by the researchers easily, as they have the ability to manipulate the variables. The second advantage is that it is precise and accurate as the variables are established, and thus the experimental method establishes a cause effect relationship between the independent and dependent variable. Thus, this could lead to more precise results and accurate data. Furthermore, it is also an excellent generalized method for results since the variables are controlled by the researcher accurately and the researcher has the access to the variables that could also lead to less risk of extraneous and confounding variables. The disadvantages of non-experimental methods are that it is artificial, as the variables are often controlled in this research. So that means that the result is more artificial and is not based on the reality. The second disadvantage could be that it is expensive and time consuming to conduct experiments in laboratories and in controlled environment where a number of participants are required to join and specific settings are set to be done, which could be time consuming. The third advantage is that it could cause experimental bias as the participants would then manipulate their own answers and responses and would behave in a certain way that the researcher wants them to instead of doing and behaving in the way that they are natural and in realistic way. This also raises ethical concerns as the participants are subjected to various harmful variables in this research method. Now let's move on to the advantages and disadvantages of. Yes, so now let's move on to the advantages and disadvantages of non-experimental method. Well, non-experimental method has several benefits and opportunities. That includes that it is more ethical and descriptive since it does not involve manipulation of variables and is also a method which is quite descriptive since it uses observations and surveys in order to be informed and in order to collect the data from the subjects. This also leads to our second advantage, which is that it could be used to study the rare concepts and the complicated ideas which are not possible to be studied with experimental method and requires a lot of time and energy. But with non-experimental methods, these such kind of concepts could be studied easily within a less span of time. That also says that it could provide us with valuable insight since conducting non-experimental methods and doing surveys and correlation studies could provide us with more informatives of the subject as well as the topic in depth. And last, it is also a rich qualitative data collection method as it provides diverse methods of collecting data, such as survey, observation, correlational study methods, interviews, etc. Though it serves with a variety of pros, but however, non-experimental method also has some cons to it. First of all, it does not establish a cause effect relationship between the two variables, and thus there is no diplomatic relationship between the variables and the factors in the research topic. Second of all, the results are less generalized and less accurate since the establishment of connection between variables is not done in a non-experimental method. And it only relies on self-report methods, which includes that it only conducts observations and surveys on which the researcher's insight is not provided. And this could also lead to more confounding variables and extra miscellaneous variables that could impact and affect the research significantly. So, where can non-experimental methods be used? Well, non-experimental methods can be used in variety of fields and areas such as psychology, sociology, anthropology, and political science. These methods are particularly useful when it is not feasible or ethical to manipulate variables in a controlled environment. Which leads us to our first article, that is weight control intentions and mental health among Canadian adolescents, a gender based analysis of students in the Compass study by Natalie Duan, Isabella Romano, Alexandra Butler, Rachel E. Lexer, Karen A. Pett, Scott T. Leatherhead. Introduction. It is unclear whether there are gender specific association and relationship between the goals of adolescents and teenagers in order to control their weight and modify their body weight as well as on their cognitive state. So the goal for this research would be to in depth delve into these bonds and connections in a sizable group of adolescents, boys and girls. Procedure. In order to conduct this experimental research, we conducted a very non-experimental research actually. We conducted a various series of multivariable linear regressions using data from year 6 of the Compass study to determine whether weight control was associated with depression, anxiety, and self concept, while controlling for pertinent covariates like body mass index. For this, the model was divided into groups based on their stated gender, which is male and female. Data analysis. So we conducted a various series of multivariable linear regressions using data from year 6 of the Compass study to determine whether weight control was associated with depression, anxiety, and self-concept, while controlling for pertinent covariates like body mass index. For this, the model was divided into groups based on their stated gender. So, thus, in order to investigate relationships between weight control goals and self reported symptoms of depression, anxiety, and self concept scores, we estimated three sets of models using linear regression. For this, the each model was involved socio-demographic variables such as race, ethnicity, etc., as well as the body BMIs, and the weight-related variables such as screen time, sleeps, etc., to account for any possible miscellaneous and confounding effects on the relationship between the students' aim and intentions to control their weight as well as their mental health. Conclusion. In a large sample of teenagers, we found out that the intentions to either modify their weight was correlated with the signs of mental illness and low self esteem. While these correlation varied between boys and girls, the result did have significant effects on school based initiatives to support healthy body weight and image. Now let's move on to the experimental methods. Where can we use experimental methods? Well, experimental methods can be useful in a wide range of fields, ranging from scientific research to marketing analysis. Well, in the field of psychology, it could be used to test a thesis and prove a hypothesis about behavior and cognition. Whereas in engineering, it is best to be optimized for creation of product design. Well, overall, experimental methods can be also be useful in social sciences like economics and political science. Which moves on with our first article, which is experimental. Internalized media promoted body ideals only marginally moderate the effects of exercise on self esteem, body image satisfaction, and physical self perceptions by Legrand, Fabian, Sillett, Gwendolyn, Schiffler, and Frederick. Introduction. This experimental article studies how conditioning can help increase body satisfaction, which further results in an improvement of self-esteem. Procedure. In this experimental condition, women with high concerns regarding their body went through a conditioning procedure in which their pictures were linked to positive social stimuli as smiling faces and controlled body were linked to negative stimuli as frowning faces. In the controlled condition, pictures of women with body concerns and controlled bodies were randomly linked to positive or negative stimuli. Data analysis. Each participant in this experiment was tested in terms of self esteem and eating disorders, which are an indicator of mental health. Before and after the experiment, through Rosenberg's self esteem scale and eating disorder examination questionnaire, respectively. Result. The experiment resulted in an increase in self esteem and body satisfaction of women who were initially dissatisfied with their bodies after being linked with positive stimuli. Thus, we concluded that this higher level of body satisfaction can result in improved self esteem, which is an indicator of healthy mental state. Discussion. The participants used for this study were a group of 57 female undergraduate women. Thus, this forms the basic limitation of this experiment as it covers only the population of women, because of which the result can be attributed to men, and the number of participants who performed in the experiment does not make the result enough general to be attributed to all women. Conclusion. So, the conclusion for this presentation is that body image can have a profound impact on individual self-esteem, as when someone internalizes negative societal messages about their appearance, it can lead to feelings of inadequacy or shame, and it can make someone feel more insecure about themselves, which could lead to various mental health disorders and such feelings of profound feelings of negative self. Conversely, in embracing, it was found that embracing a positive body image and accepting oneself for who they are can lead to greater self confidence. And as it is important to recognize the role that external factors such as media and societal pressure can play an important role in shaping body image ideals. So we can improve our body image ideals and make it positive by rejecting harmful beauty standards and embracing body positivity. Thus, individuals can cultivate a healthy relationship with their bodies and improve their self esteem. Thank you for your cooperation and patience. Thus, here are some references that we took from this presentation, and furthermore, the citations for this presentation. Thank you. Hello.